What's going on, guys? PlotArmorCards in the house, and today I am back with my Fluffal slash Frightfur deck. Now, this deck is really dope because, as you saw in the last video, I was just OTKing people. But on top of that, I've made some improvements thanks to some suggestions from my friend Nathaniel Bacon in the last video, and I've added some monsters to the extra deck. So one thing he suggested that I do was that I add the card Frightfur Repair into this deck to use as target for Frightfur Cruel Whale's effect. And that's been working out pretty well, honestly. So I used to have 2 copies of Mystical Space, and I switched one of them out for Frightfur Repair, which has been doing really good for me. Also, I had some extra deck space, so I put in 3 copies of Frightfur Sheep in case I need to use additional Frightfur Cruel Will effects in the oncoming turns. I also added another copy of Frightfur Wolf. I added a new copy of Frightfur Chimera, another copy of Frightfur Kraken, 1 copy of Frightfur Daredevil, and 1 more copy of Frightfur Cruel Whale. So let's take a look at the duels, guys. Now, this duel was really dope in my opinion because it showcases that even in long, drawn-out duels, not necessarily just OTKs, this deck is actually usable for something. So this guy's going to be using a Galaxy Eyes XYZ deck. So he summons Galaxy Soldier. He's going to add this Galaxy Eyes card to his hand. Then he's going to attach this card to his monster, Photon Orbital. And then he's going to add Galaxy Knight to his hand. And then he's going to special summon the Galaxy Knight. Then he's going to reduce this thing's life points or attack points by 1,000, summon out Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, and now he's just summoning and summoning and summoning. And I haven't really gotten a chance to just fight something like this, a deck where a guy just brings out a bunch of stuff, you know? And so this guy brings out number 90, Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, and this thing I think does monster negation. And then he also brings out number 38, which will do spell negation. So I have to fight against 1 monster negation and 1 spell negation. So the way I have to figure this out is really careful. So I decided to use a copy of Fluffal Bear to bait his negation, which he does. So Fluffal Bear gets negated. And then that's going to resolve, so he negates. And there we go. Fluffal Bear is now negated. And then I can summon Fluffal Dog, which allows me to add Fluffal Owl to my hand. And then I'm just going to call it a turn. Because what I was trying to do is I'm trying to waste this thing's material. He only has 1 more material. So I'm going to use Edge Scythe. And now he's going to detach the material. And it is gone. He's out of material. And then he uses his Galaxy Eyes effect. He brings back his Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. He's going to attack 3 times. And I'm still in this, guys. Definitely still in this. So I'm reduced to 1,200 life points. And so I have Fluffal Owl, which I'm going to use to add a poly to my hand. Then I draw Edgem Chain and Edgem Penguin. Well, if you fuse to both of these, they all have various effects. So now I can add a poly to my hand. And then I'm going to use the poly. And he decides not to do anything with his monster as of yet. So then I summon Frightfur Kraken. And Frightfur Kraken is the fact I'm going to have to use it. But both of these things in the graveyard, since they were fused, will have various effects. So Edgem Chain is going to allow me to add Frightfur Fusion to my hand. That allowed me to fuse things from my graveyard. Fluffal Penguin allowed me to draw 2 and discard 1. So I discarded the 1. And then I use Frightfur Kraken to destroy his monster. That will negate my spells. So then I can freely use my spell. I can send Toy Vendor to the graveyard, which allows me to pop off a bunch of other combos. I'm going to banish cards, those 2 cards from my deck to summon Frightfur Cruel Whale. And now Frightfur Cruel Whale's effect I can activate. I can destroy 1 of his to destroy 1 of mine as well. And then Cruel Whale, also I can send 1 Frightfur card from my deck to the graveyard in order to have 1 monster double its attack. So, or not double, gain attack equal to half of its attack. So now I can run over pretty much anything he's doing. And now I'm going to use Frightfur Sheep's effect to send Fluffal Dog back to my hand since this is a good searcher. And then Frightfur Kraken will destroy his monster. It can attack twice normally, but it can't attack directly this turn since I use its effect to destroy a monster on the field. So I should be stacked for next turn. It just depends on what he's going to do. And then he summons, he starts to use Magical Meltdown, but I have Ash Blossom. Luckily, I didn't discard that, so I'm good on that turn. And just in case he summons something with high attack power, I use Frightfur Cruel Whale in order to dump a Frightfur Patchwork into the graveyard. And then his Magical Meltdown's effect won't activate. He just sets 1 and calls it a turn. And I drew a toy vendor. Now, normally you just want this straight in the graveyard. You don't necessarily want it to be. But I have Fluffal Wings in the graveyard, which allows me to draw another card and then send toy vendor to the grave. And when toy vendor goes to the grave, it pretty much lets me do whatever I please. So I use my Frightfur Fusion in order to summon Frightfur Kraken. And then I summon Fluffal Owl. Fluffal Owl lets me add a poly. And now I can poly. So then I'm going to poly both of those cards in order to summon another copy of Frightfur Whale. This is really dope because now I can destroy a monster to destroy one of my cards to destroy one of his cards. But I also have Add Gem Chain, so that allows me to add Frightfur Patchwork, which sets me up for next turn if by any chance he doesn't make it. So I destroy one of mine to destroy his face down, and then I just attack with everything, and it's pretty much game, guys. There's nothing you can do at this point. Yeah, that's dope. I really, really like this deck. It's way better than I expected initially. It's not just OTK material. So next we have a duel that's basically representative of the type of duels I normally get on Master Duel with this deck. And you'll see what this is. So it's his turn. He's about to end, but I can use Edge Gem Scythe at his turn to fuse two of my monsters, and I'm going to summon Frightfur Kraken. And then Fluffal Penguin's effect will activate. That allows me to send draw two, discard one. And when Add Gem Chain is discarded, I can add Frightfur Patchwork. So I'm pretty much set for next turn, guys. I am then going to draw. Then I can use my Mystical Space Typhoon to destroy his face down, just in case. And he's using that for some reason. I know it's not really used in the TCG as much as it's used in the OCG. But I can then send a Toy Vendor with Foolish Burial Goods, and then all my combos are being popped off right now. Then I'm going to summon another Toy Vendor. I'm only using that just so I can destroy it with my whale in a little bit. That's pretty much what I like to use it for. Sometimes I like to use it to send an Edge Gem Chain or something to the grave, but it's mostly not what I use it for. Then I can fuse the both of those in order to summon Frightfur Cool Whale. Now, he used Max C, as you've seen, but it's not going to matter because he's going to lose regardless. And now I can use my Frightfur Cool Whale's effect to destroy one card I control, which is going to be Toy Vendor, to destroy one card he controls, which is his face down that was called by the grave. So he was kind of screwed anyway. Then my Cruel Whale's other effect will activate. I can send a Frightfur card from my deck to the graveyard. I will be sending Frightfur. What's it called again? Frightfur Repair. Yeah. Frightfur Fusion I will use again to banish monsters, but he uses DD Crow, so it's not going to necessarily work for me that way. Oh, never mind. Maybe I'm mistaken on the effect of DD Crow. Oh, he just banishes. Okay, so he thought I was going to use a different card than I was going to. But that's not what's going to happen, because now I've doubled or increased both of my Cruel Whale's attacks, and I have this card on the field. And it's an OTK, guys. You already know. So with this duel, I drew Frightfur Repair, which necessarily isn't the best. I normally just like to use it as a target for Whale. But I drew Frightfur Patchwork, which is really good. It should allow me to draw an Edgent monster and then a poly. So he used, what's this card called? Ancient Chant. So I'm assuming he's using a Winged Dragon Raw deck. And he also uses a Max C. That usually doesn't matter to me, honestly. Unless the opponent has like a bunch of negates on the field, then I'll have to consider the fact that he's using Max C. But usually if the Max C is on the field, I don't care. It makes no difference to me. Then I'm going to use Toy Vendor. You just put it on the field for Whale. Then I'm going to fuse the both of those, and I can go straight into Frightfur Cruel Whale. And then a bunch of effects are going to activate, obviously, with Penguin and Edge Gem Chain, as well as Whale. So those are all going to pop off chain-wise. And then Whale's second effect as well. I can dump him card to increase his attack by half of its attack. And then I decided to dump a sheep from my extra deck. I put those in here, I think, after this duel. During this duel, I just put them in there to dump. So then Toy Vendor obviously will use this effect as well. I can add a Fluffal Owl. I'm going to use Owl to search another poly, just for the future. Who knows, if I don't last, or if he doesn't die right away. It's useful to have another poly in your hand. So then I can summon a Kraken, and then I'm going to use a third poly to fuse both of those. Go into another whale. And then I destroy mine to destroy his. I thought I had Edgem Scythe in my graveyard, but I didn't, so that's why I did that. But it doesn't really matter, because I go straight into Frightfur Wolf, and he's still going to lose. And I can attack with Wolf, I think, 3 times. I can attack with Wolf 3 times. So, and then he's going to use this thing's effect. So the first time it's unaffected, and then I can use my Cruel Whale's effect to increase his attack by half of its original attack, so that'll go to the graveyard. And then he gets to draw a card. I think it's Millennium Revelation. I suck with words. But still wasn't enough. Could still put an end to him in 1 turn. So with this one, I drew 2 copies of Frightfur Fusion. Not usually the best, but I do have Foolish Burial Goods, so I'm not tripping too hard about this. He's playing Dragon Maids, so usually they pop off a bunch of monsters at a time, but he just summons Kitchen's Dragon Maids and sets a card and calls it a turn, and then I draw another Foolish Burial Goods, and that can only be used once. So I'm thinking maybe I can't do it this turn, but knowing this deck, it takes 2 seconds. Then he Ash Blossoms my card effect, so I have a problem there as well. However, I can make this work because I have Fluffal Bear. I can discard it to set a Toy Vendor, and I'm going to use Toy Vendor's effect to destroy... Oh, and then he uses Maxi. Again, so most of these people are using Maxi, and it just doesn't matter to me because I usually win in 1 turn. Toy Vendor will let me discard Edgem Chain to draw a card. That is a Fluffal, so that'll allow me to special summon the Fluffal, and the Edgem Chain's effect will activate as well, and the Fluffal Owl will let me add a Poly. But then he uses Forbidden Droplet that'll allow him to negate and half my monster's attack as well. So that will be negated, but Edgem Chain will still work. I can use Frightful Patchwork. I can add Patchwork to my hand. Patchwork allows me to search an Edgem monster as well as a Poly, and now I'm still good to go. So both of those will fuse together in order to summon my Cruel Whale, I believe. Yep, Cruel Whale. And then Cruel Whale's effect is going to activate again. I can destroy one to destroy one of his. And then my Toy Vendor's effect will activate. And then my Cruel Whale's effect will activate. And then in terms of the chain, the Cruel Whale's effect will go first. So I dump the Frightfur Repair, and then I add Fluffal Wings to my hand. Then I activate Frightfur Fusion to banish both of my monsters from the grave in order to summon Frightfur Kraken. Frightfur Kraken can attack twice. So I'm good to go. So 3,900 to the head, 22 to the head, and then another 22. And oh my goodness, that's another OTK. I'm not going to lie. Most people don't expect Fluffals anymore. But this deck is really, really underrated. I'm kind of inspired to buy this deck in real life and just try it out. I know it's the way you play online and the way you play in real life is different, but I think it'd still be super fun to play, super fun to try out. One thing I still need to work out is how to get around negates more. I've done it a couple times, as you're seeing here, but I think with a little bit more practice with this deck, I can get really, really good. If you guys have any suggestions, if you'd like to see any improvements to this deck, or any of my decks for that matter, you can comment them down below, and I'd love to try them out. And obviously, I'll let everybody know that, hey, this guy recommended it, so this is why I'm trying it. Well, anyway, guys, my name is PlotArmorCards. If you like what you see, please like, comment, and subscribe. And oh my goodness, look at the time.
It's time to do